You are now listening to the iWalter Show. Real talk about nothing.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey everyone, this is Walter and iWalter. Actually getting a late start. Got to turn off my speaker, which I just did. It is actually now Tuesday morning. My speaker keeps on moving. I might even actually take off this screen if it's going to give me that much of a problem. Didn't seem to have a problem the other day when I actually didn't use it when I was away from home, so it's always not necessary. It is Tuesday, I keep on belching for some reason all of a sudden, on January 5th, 2016, though. I had a couple stories I did want to read. That's why I'm doing actually another show. My last nights, I was surprised it actually went on for 2 hours. I did not expect that. I got some very dismal stories I probably really don't want to read, but it's just I have to prove a point once again on this whole bullshit with victimization that people seem to proclaim all the time. It does get really old, honestly, and I don't think it's going to ever get any better until mankind just basically destroys himself as a whole. I actually was venturing out today because I was determined that, my time of being off from work is going to get more and more slim, which is expected because it's actually been going on for over 3 months now. I'm just going to go on the 4th month of not working, but actually having a job and getting paid for it. Whatever the reason behind that, I have no clue. And it just goes to show you how much they really do care about you, because those who were trying to help me out and supposedly supporting me obviously don't give two craps about anybody except their own personal needs. So I will remember that too. They're actually doing me a favor because I was able today. My phone was messed up. I had to spend hours over the Apple store today in King of Prussia, and it was just ridiculous. And it was crowded too. That just shows you how many people are not working. Tons of people, but they yet can afford to buy the most expensive products on the face of the planet from Apple with no problem, no flinch, and no thought about where the money's coming from. They don't really care. They probably don't intend to pay it either. I, on the other hand, couldn't live with myself. I would find some way to pay things that I want, things that I don't need, but I just want. I've always been like that and always will be. So I had to deal with that whole situation today. That wasn't very fun. I actually had a horrible day all around in some ways, not all the way, because I got my phone finally fixed. They actually openly admitted right when I had to wait for a long time, even with a set-up visit, they actually admitted that, we got your diagnostics that you had submitted to us. And before they even saw me, they said, we figured out that you got a bad phone. We're just going to replace it. I mean, this will be the third phone I had with this Verizon account I have now. It's not very pleasant to have to keep on going back. It's costly and timely. Fortunately for me, I do have the time. But anyway, in the mix, I also had a problem with they have this new thing where you can stream everything from iTunes at a fee of $10 a month. I wasn't really gung-ho at first, but there's certain things that are actually pretty nice about it. You get a lot of music. They were giving me a hard time a little bit. Not a hard time, but I was actually interested. They had a gift card. It had Taylor Swift. You actually get to see her concert when you get the gift card. I think you can get it online. It just looked pretty cool, and it was no extra cost. So I got that, but they were saying, you don't, kind of like you don't want that, why would you, and I thought about this, like, who really cares what I listen to? I mean, I really don't care, but everybody seems more concerned about the way I eat, the way I think, the way I live my lifestyle, and the music I listen to. But yet they tell me you should mind your own business. So you try to figure that one out. And once you do, come back to me and kind of explain it to me, because it really doesn't make any sense. My mom made the one comment years ago. She said, it's that old saying. I'm surprised it came out of her mouth. It was kind of actually pretty clever on the words. She said, do as I say, not as I do. And that's exactly what everybody does in society nowadays. They want to tell you how to run your life, they want to ruin your life, but they won't do anything to change themselves. And it's always been, you can't change anybody except yourself. Well, that only applies to me, not anybody else. I've noticed that. And it's very frustrating. It really is. So anyway, I continue to kind of knock this stuff out and knock people down on their pegs, theoretically, with my radio show the best I can, because obviously otherwise I'm just basically talking to a brick wall with most people. I've noticed that even today for the most part. But overall, it ended up turning out my favorite eventually after 4 hours, I would say. Because, again, I had a bad phone, and then I had a problem signing up for this, 3 months free for this service with Apple to get their unlimited streaming of different shows. So it got to the point, though, it just got, okay, nobody could figure out what was going on, and they eventually said, okay, you're using what's called PayPal to pay for this, and they don't honor PayPal does not honor this streaming audio, all the music you want on iTunes. So it's like, okay, I'll just get a gift card. That way, if I don't like it, I won't get racking up credit card bills. It's paid for up in advance. So I try to explain to him, for 2 hours after getting my phone fixed, this is all I want to do. And I said, no, we're just set you up with a appointment with a Mac genius, and they're figured out, which they came to the same solution that I first told them I was interested in doing. They did not listen to me, so that kind of got me a little bit peeved, to say the least. So anyway, once that got straightened out, it was great. But I also had an issue of I went to this place called Five Guys in the King of Prussia Mall, where, I get kind of tired of seeing that, though, but the guy who was working was this extremely tall guy, and he was wearing his pants, his underwear, his pants below his underwear, like the boxer shorts, the underwear, and it's like, you're working in a place that people eat, and the last thing I want to see is your boxer shorts hanging below your pant line. But whatever, or the other way around, the pants hanging below and his boxer shorts pulled up. It just looks really ridiculous. There's no reason for that. Get a belt if your pants are falling down. That was issue number one. I ordered a simple thing I always order. I usually go to this one in Devon, Five Guys. I did not today because I got stuck over the King of Prussia Mall. And it was like 5 times, no kidding, I'm not even joking, 5 times they messed up my order completely. And it was only a hamburger and a soda, and they couldn't even do that right. Every single time I said I want a plain hamburger with mayo and A1 sauce and pickles and onions. It's not that complicated. And a large regular Coke. They gave me a Diet Coke, and they got everything right, but they also put cheese on it 5 times in a row. And they end up having to give me these extra burgers. It's like, listen, I don't want these. They're yours. It's your fuck up. I'm not going to keep this stuff. And they end up telling me, well, you have to throw some of this stuff out. It's like, which, I didn't get huffy about it, which I also explained the last time with yesterday when I mentioned about the gay gentleman from 2 different restaurants who just seemed to get in a huff with me all the time over no reason at all. I kept my cool. I did not get mad when they messed up. Some people would start a fight over that. I would not. It's just not worth my energy or time. But it was just really, overall, it was frustrating. Just being in the mall in general. I went to 2 different malls today, the King of Prussia. with the arrogance of a lot of the customers and the cattiness of the female percentage is just really, most of the time, just drives me like up the walls. It really does. It's like, okay, enough already. Grow up. The world does not circle around you, and I'm not stalking you out. But I see that all the time, and it gets really old. Fortunately enough, I met some people that were nice, and that unfortunately doesn't outweigh the ignorance of the rest. So anyway, after I got that done, I decided, because I read it, did a lot of research for my own reasons, personal reasons, on Kevin Smith's new movie. Unfortunately, by the time I got, and he's shooting his next film this month in Exton Shopping Center. I have the paper somewhere. And I did some basically asking store clerks. I said, hey, have you heard about Kevin Smith making his new movie in your Exton Shopping Center or Shopping Mall? It's an indoor mall. And most of the people were pretty nice, pretty cooperative, and they gave me a lot of information I did not know before. They said, yeah, Kevin Smith actually did walk around, and he did shake people's hands, and he was talking to people. He said, I'm definitely coming here. There is an abandoned or an empty building right now inside the mall, or a store, I should say, J.C. Penney's, where they're going to shoot a large amount of the film at. Kevin Smith has it all laid out how he wants it done, how he's going to shoot it. It's going to have a lot of big celebrities, and I said, yeah, I want to get involved in this too. So I didn't initially hear back from Kevin Smith, still haven't, but I did hear enough information from other store clerks, which was nice. But again, I run into this issue even there where women are just uptight. They think that you're stalking them and you're following them. It's like, well, you know what? I'm sure if I had a turban on my head, or if I had my pants with boxer shorts hanging out, you would probably think I'm like the most friendliest person in the world, and basically who can't even put two words together to make a sentence. But you know, I'm the one who is you got to keep the lookout for, and it gets really old. I experienced that in this Exton Mall. And again, there were some nice people that were very cooperative and very friendly, and even store clerks were kind of either a few that I encountered I had spoken to were either extremely nice or just really short on their answers and kind of a little bit obnoxious. And unfortunately, the obnoxiousness outweighs anybody who was nice on my experience. So, unfortunately, you know, hey, they probably will never see me again. The Exton Mall, I didn't even know it existed until Kevin Smith actually had looked for it. That's the only thing that's going to put that place in existence for even a short period of time, even for a couple of weeks when they do filming at that place. And when that time does come, because I will keep my eyes open, or Kevin Smith, I'm sure, will kind of post something on his blog pages. That will be the only time I will show up, and I will just basically do what I need to do just to make my face available or whatever I can actually do to help out, as long as I'm not working. But, you know, I just had to get that out. That was enough to say, okay, I need to do a show again. And I can't say it enough that it seems like ignorance just surpasses everything else in everyday life. Not even for me, I think just everybody. So I found a couple interesting articles that some of them is going to make an attempt to read part of it, because it was actually just kind of supports my my belief in what I'm trying to say. So anyway, this one is an ironic one, because everybody always talks about, oh, you know, global warming. I'm so tired of hearing about that, because that's a bunch of bullshit anyway. It does not exist. So we had a couple warm days. You know, we shouldn't have taken it for granted. I know I didn't. I was pleased with the warm weather. I did not want to see it leave at this time of year, because I know eventually it would get cold again. And the North is actually been suffering with severe snowstorms and stuff, which is normal for this time of year. But people complain when you get a little bit of a heat wave or something that it's oh, this is global warming done by mankind. And it's like, you have no fucking clue. Just because history is, been recorded for only a short period of the span of when this planet existed. They seem like they know everything. It's like, no, you don't know anything. And it's just a political thing of how to get into power and keep power by dictating to mindless souls or idiots that, oh, well, this is global warming. Well, no, it's not. This is something normal that happens, on this planet. Anyway, there was this article that said Arctic blasts arrive Monday, cold blue in some areas. It's actually a paper called The Patch for my local area. This one was actually Newtown, Pennsylvania. The record-breaking warm temperatures of December will be a thing of the past early this week, and we got down to 18 degrees today. So there you go. That's that global warming that everybody's so afraid of. So I just, people are so stupid, and yet they are so full of themselves, they don't realize they have no fucking clue what they're talking about. I could say the same for me, but honestly, I think as dumb as I may be, I seem to have a better grip on reality than most people actually ever will. They're so self-absorbed they don't even realize they're how stupid they really are. Anyway, there was an article. This one was pretty funny on independent.co.uk. Man on drugs fights 15 police officers while exposing himself. Well, that one actually gets better because he exposed himself because he was masturbating while beating off these cops. He was also beating himself off, so to speak, as he was high. The man high on meth fought off more than a dozen police officers as they tried to arrest him, expose himself in a bar. Andrew Frey, 37, later told authorities that he had taken methamphetamines the day before and had no recollection of the event at Iggy's Bar and Grill, Salem, in Oregon. So it happened in the States, but it actually got posted overseas. Somewhere in the article, it said he was actually masturbating as well as he was high and beating off cops. It's no joke. This is an article. It was actually posted second to the last day in December. It actually got posted on this kind of funny site called Stop Masturbation. So they actually found this one, and the only reason they posted it because the guy was masturbating. Yeah, I like these stories from Joe for America, Joe the Plumber. He found one that says helpful tips on raping slaves from leaders of the religion of peace. So, I've said this many of times, how, they always make out these Muslims to be so peaceful. They're a peaceful race, but yet they rape and rip apart females. But that's part of their, and that's only one part of them according to them. No, that's probably actually a larger part than what they lead on to believe. It states in this article, a little bit of it, the religion of peace has been leaving their neighbors in pieces for 1,400 years. They've also been enslaving and raping their neighbors for that long, and all the command of their pedophile prophet Muhammad. So there you go. They reached a new low with recruitment of new believers who seem to need more direction. They published a manual of raping their victims. So there is 15 things on there how to rape your victims. I'm looking at, glancing through. One says it's not permissible to cause her to abort if she's pregnant. So if you rape her and she becomes pregnant, that is basically, I've heard this before, that's grounds for basically beating her up or actually tearing her apart, the woman apart. Yeah, these are all just really ridiculous. And it's just, and then now there's women in our country who think this is where they want to go. They want to help out on these freedom fighters who are actually just basically are, my opinion, they're sadists. It's not permissible for an owner of a female captive to have intercourse with her until after she had a menstrual cycle and becomes clean. If she's not menstruate, and if she's pregnant, he is not allowed to have intercourse with her until after she has given birth. Geez, that's really nice. It's not permissible to cause her to abort if she's pregnant. I read that one. If the owner of the female captive releases her, only he can have intercourse with her and cannot allow someone else to have intercourse with her. I mean, these are ridiculous. You're talking like 12-year-olds and 10-year-olds that these people hold captive. They show a thing with these Muslim women that they're in a cage and are basically being treated as animals, not as people. And again, there is so many women in this country who think this is great. This is what they want to go for. They don't know once they actually experience it. Then they want to leave, and then these peaceful Muslims end up killing them anyway. So I just can't wait until this thing finally implodes on itself, and that the majority of the stupid people in our society either flee this country and end up getting themselves killed, or this whole thing just finally implodes on itself, which I'm hoping it will happen. Anyway, you can see this on Joe the Plumber's website. I'm trying to look for the date. It was actually a couple days ago. It was January 1st. He had posted that one. Here's another one. I want to get this one out of the way. Overpass America. I've actually used things off of there before. Here's 15 facts that utterly destroy common liberal lies. Hashtag 04A, hashtag news, hashtag liberal, hashtag conservatives. This was January 4th. It was just yesterday. Now, this one might be the one, and it was like, okay, I'm going to try to make an attempt because it's just so fucking ridiculous. Just to show you how stupid people really are, and they're never going to learn, obviously, at this point. Number one, there's a list of, I'm trying to look right now, which I won't read them all probably because there's quite a bit. There's 15 of them, so I'm probably not going to read them, but it caught my eye. So, first one says, Muslims account for only 1% of the U.S. population, but account for about half of the terrorist attacks since 9/11. This means that Muslims in the United States are about 5,000% more likely to commit terrorist attacks than non-Muslims. So did you hear that? Muslims only account for 1% of the U.S., but they're the ones who cause the most damage. So I'm not going to read all these. I'm just trying to make a point. So, and if you don't see it, then I feel really bad for the folks who do listen to me. Number two is actually as entertaining as the first one. Consider, for example, that in 1958, a mere 4% of Americans approved of interracial marriage. By 2013, the number had grown to 87%. So did you hear that? 4%. Now 87%, it was 87% in 2013. In 2012, these once taboo unions hit an all-time high. The results of this, by the way, is Ku Klux Klan memberships has shrunk drastically from millions a century ago to a fewer than 5,000 today in all. The Black Panthers essentially are extinct, while plenty of the hate groups have attempted to fill the void. They have always operated on the margins of society. Black politicians are now common. President Obama's percentage of white votes was almost perfectly in line with that received by other recent Democrats, all whom were white. Granted that these statistics offer but a snapshot of America's society, but the more one looks, the more a trend emerges. America is a lot of things. Racist, it's not. Basically, because what they're stating is Obama's trying to say that, we live in a racist society that has, gotten worse in the present time. But yet the statistics speak completely opposite of that. his statement, which is not facts. It's just a bunch of bullshit from his mouth. So they were saying from 4% of interracial relationships is now at 87%, but yet he said it's worse now. And a majority of the people who voted for Obama majority of them were white Americans. So he obviously has no clue what he's talking about. And this person who was quoted in this article was Greg Jones for the second one. But you can kind of get an idea. You can go and see more of this, ridiculous accusations made by our president, by our government, which people do believe. But the percentage of people believe in all this bullshit are basically complete idiots who just basically want everything given to them. They don't want to work for it. They want to be victimized and just blame the American white male for everything. That's what it's ended up being. So anytime that comes to play, I basically got to kind of step back and say, hey, listen, you can say that, but I will kind of shoot you down on that. Now, here's another interesting one. I'm digging this one up now. It's a website called tothedeathmedia.com. If liberals are demanding the right of free education and health care, where is my right for a free gun? So it's only right. So the liberals, basically this article, I kind of glanced at it. It is on my webpage. It says going back to the 19th century, movements of Ford, the term right has been skewed from the original intentions that were tied to liberty, protection, and the opportunity to now one where society and government owe people these things, even if it must commit someone else to pray for the Taliban. Or the theme. I can't figure out. Anyway, it's basically just saying, again, what I said. People are just looking for others to complain about or blame. It would be the white male at this point. Anyway, it goes on and it says, and this can be seen in all the glory in 2015, where the millennial campus students are demanding free education as well as right. And where the Democrat presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is offering free, well, everything also as a right. So somewhere in this article, I'm just going to kind of glance down. They actually do mention George Wells' fictional portrayal of 1984, which I've said this for years, that it's going in that direction, and if you actually read the book, even watched the film, if you didn't want to read it, you will see that this is exactly what's going on now, where people are, the ministry of love is actually the ministry of hate. They're teaching people how to hate others for no good reason and how to victimize themselves, or basically have government tell them what to do. That is actually absolutely 100% correct. The analogy that now, they put in this article, that we are living in 1984, or it's a portrayal, which it actually really is. So I pulled this article up. I would suggest that one. Alrighty, I'm just trying to make sure everything's going good on my show. Yeah, it's just funny. People are just so like, oh, you're a white male. You're the bad person. You're the one who is the sex offender. Well, there you go. Okay, let me go with that fact for a minute. Fictional fact, I like to call it. And I can read this article. One, for instance, is likes.com. Ohio mother, 32, is sentenced to life in prison for raping her 12-year-old daughter with her live-in boyfriend. This goes that it's not her fault that this happened. It's my fault because I am the one who is the evil person in our society, me and many other white males like myself, who will have to be basically hung on a cross just like Christ was, to pay for their sins, or pay for pay for their sins. I said that right. An Ohio mother was sentenced to life in prison for her involvement in a rape of her 12-year-old daughter. Jenny Mae Carpenter pleaded guilty earlier this month for helping her live-in boyfriend, James John Kersley, rape one of her children. Judge Frank Fernado handed down the sentence to the 37-year-old woman Wednesday in Belmont County courtroom. Carpenter pleaded guilty to charges on one count of complacency to commit rape, 2 counts of permitting to child abuse, 1 count of endangering a child, and 1 count of obstructing official business, WTRF reported. So there's more probably to that. Don't care to read it, and you probably don't care to hear it, because nobody wants to hear anything that's actually possibly giving them the truth to their misbelief that, we can single out you white males who are pedophiliacs and causing all the hate crimes in the U.S., when it actually is just a mere reflection of those who say that towards me and others like me, that you're actually only reflecting upon yourself. So here we go. Here's another one. It's actually from a website called yousignanimals.org. Woman stuffs bird down dog's throat, uses metal curtain to force it down. Act now. So, this is an article I found. It says a 26-year-old woman appeared in front of a judge after destroying her family dog by stuffing a parakeet down the throat of her dog, using a metal curtain to force the bird down her throat. And her reason for doing it, she said, the dog kept on trying to eat the parakeet, so she eventually got fed up with it, and that was a very plausible reason for doing it. Good reason to do it. She basically got a metal curtain rod and stuffed the bird down the dog's throat. The dog died of basically of asphyxiation. So, but that's should be just looked the other way. You should really put all your focus on one thing. That would be me, really, because that's where the issues really do lie. So, investigators determined this. Also, she had kids. Police arrived at this woman's house in Houston, Texas, after receiving multiple calls from concerned neighbors. Officers discovered bruises on she had a daughter, on the daughter's face and legs. So she was also beating the crap out of her kids, too, or her one child. The investigators determined that the 6-year-old child was hit several times with a stick, and the ruthless mother used a jacket to cover up the child's mouth. She then turned her attention to the pet dog. She grabbed the parakeet and then was peacefully sitting in the cage and stuffed it down the dog's throat. The dog did not survive. She later wrapped the dog in a curtain and tossed its lifeless body into a dumpster nearby. So there you go again. Here's another story that I have to throw back at these people who just are worthless pieces of shit, who think it's always me who is the problem, not that it's them. Well, I hate to tell you, that was a rude fucking awakening there, I think, for most people. Thank you, Todd. You sent me this story. He did. PIX 11 from yesterday. Queens custodian arrested after allegedly offering to buy semen from teens. So that would be males. This person, a custodian, for people who don't know, are basically janitors, because I'm one. The paper says the 45-year-old Romero admitted to helping whoever needed money by offering to sell their sperm. The incident happened between June and December. The alleged victims are 15 and 16 years old. So there you go again. And William Romero of Queens. So Do it with that article as you like, but it was actually posted yesterday. Trying to think, because I got some lighter stories. Going to try to make this actually, because I just got too many. There was another story. I couldn't actually figure out half the stuff to read properly. It was on the Daily UK about Simon Dancock is being investigated for rape, says police, and he was heckled outside by his wife, I guess. Heckled outside his own office by his ex-wife, Karen's brother, who is also facing rape charges. So apparently, it seems like both this particular story is about a husband and an ex-wife who are both up on issues of pedophiliac, or pedophiliac, but basically raping children. That's pretty interesting, though. The one bullet point says he sent a girl 17 string of explicit messages and claimed he had drink issue. It should be, I don't know how that, it says drink issue. I swear that's what it actually does say. But yeah, the way I kind of gathered is they're both up on charges of sexual misdemeanors, both the husband and the wife, which is not actually very pleasant. But that's another thing. You got these couples that are both extremely nutcases, not just this particular case, but many cases. But yet that also gets, it gets publicized, but it's quickly gets swept under the rug as quickly as it's, brought or surfaced on the news. It's also buried as quickly. Now, here's another interesting one, by the way, back in the home states that was also from PIX 11. My friend Todd sent it yesterday. Domino's Pizza delivery man stabs customer in California. Police say, well, the guy delivered the pizza like an hour and a half after it was supposed to be delivered, if I remember correctly, because I watched this video that was attached to this article. And it was in California. It says the Domino's Pizza delivery man stabbed the customer in Covina during an altercation over the food late arrival, police say, and it was for Domino's on Sunday. Now, that's the thing. I swear Domino's have that thing that if they take longer than they're supposed to, the pizzas are supposed to be free anyhow. So this guy obviously made a detour. They said it was only it took him an hour and a half to deliver a pizza. This pizza delivery guy that was less than a mile from the store. So it shouldn't take an hour and a half to deliver a pizza from the pizza place to the person's house. So the person only gave the guy a tip of $3. The total was $45. Well, he should have even gotten the pizzas for free. So now the victim, who was the person who purchased the pizzas, could be actually held accountable for this whole thing, possibly. They didn't say that, but it kind of insinuated it. They haven't figured out yet who was the guilty party. Well, the guy who delivered the pizzas from a mile down the road that had taken him an hour and a half to deliver him to the house, they would be ice cold by then, should be the one that's guilty, but they didn't say that. And that person's name is Michael Charles Parker, 31, which it stated, again, stabbed a 20-year-old customer around 11:30 p.m. on Saturday in the 600 block of Mangrove Avenue, according to a Covina Police Department news release. The victim was stabbed in the neck and wrist area during the altercation, which stemmed from the pizza's late arrival, police said. And it was over the $3 tip that I mentioned before. Now, this is another interesting thing. Yeah, I swear it said if you watch the video attached, joined to this story, it was like an hour and a half, and it was less than a mile down the road. It doesn't take an hour and a half to go a mile, less than a mile. So I said a mile and a half, didn't I? I meant less than a mile. The victim was stabbed and transported to a local trauma center. He suffered non-life-threatening injuries. The police news release stated. They did arrest this guy, Parker, though, later detained. He had placed his own bail, which was set at $30,000. The guy came up with his own bail money. So what does that tell you? How do you come up with a job that pays you $10 an hour, which you don't even make that much in a year? It takes him over an hour and a half to go a mile and a half down the road to deliver these pizzas, and yet he has a knife that he stabs the victim with, and he can also pay, after getting arrested, $30,000 to get himself released. So he's selling more than pizzas, I can tell you that much. Parker was later detained at his place of work and taken into custody for assault and with assault with a deadly weapon. Basically, I apologize, I messed that up. He was held in lieu of $30,000 bail and released pending on his arraignment on March 21st. But if you listen to it, he posted his own bail of $30,000. How do you fucking get $30,000 for a job that pays you less than $10 an hour and you're using your own fucking car? I mean, it makes no sense to me at all. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm in a really bad mood, folks. This is what my thing's about, just to kind of vent. Anyway, this was a pretty interesting article on a different note. It was on the eveningcompass.com. A blind mystic who predicts 9/11 and ISIS has predicted some chilling events for 2016. This was a blind woman who had passed away. I'm trying to see where she did. She's no longer with us, unfortunately. I'm sorry to hear. But her predictions, they said, were, which is pretty impressive. I thought they said it was like 88% correct. That's pretty high. And the woman's blind, and she comes up with these predictions. She apparently had an 85%, success rate in her predictions, and so earned the title Nostradamus from the Balkans. Way back in the 50s, she said the cold regions will become warm and volcanoes will awaken, which is possibly a reference to the climate change. Followers of her also believe that she predicted the 2004 Boxing Day tsunami when she said a wave would come to a big coast covering people and towns and causing everything to disappear under the water. In 1989, she said that this woman, the American brethren, would be attacked by two steel birds with the sounds a bit like 9/11, basically, what they're stating. So she actually did correct it. She didn't know a precise time this would happen, but she did predict it before it did happen. There was something else in here. Before her death, she predicted a 2016 invasion of Muslim extremists, eventually ending with the Muslims. I actually looked up. It's CALIPHATE. I actually looked up how to pronounce it, and I already forgot. So you can see that ran from Rome by 2043. Anyway, some of her predictions, they go on, they were trying to kind of speculate in that, but hey, her predictions were pretty accurate. This woman, before she passed away, actually also did predict the one with, basically this Taliban, this Muslim regime that's now taken over. And she actually was correct, in my opinion, on that one. Anyway, you can find that on, again, it's called the eveningcompass.com. It's kind of interesting. I think that was my, hey, slap it back in your face, go after yourself stories. So now I got what's left is basically not much. It's all fluff. So you're in good shape. You made it this far with me. You can make it the rest of the way, kind of thing. I'm going to try to save the really light stories for last. Any type of stories that I had was actually one from likes.com, and it was kind of heartwarming, about a bull that was basically tied up its entire life. It wasn't very old, but can you imagine being chained by the neck from your time of birth until like being a teenager practically, or your early 20s, and being having an owner who will set you free. Well, this is what happened in this story. And it says the bull was chained his whole life. They don't give the time limit. I'm just kind of guessing by the size of the bull, a male cow. Watch what happens when someone finally frees him. And it's kind of heartwarming because the bull at first didn't know how to react because it's been chained, like literally by the neck, has never been moved for its entire life. So I don't know how long bulls and cows live, but when it was let go, it was ecstatic. It was running around like a newborn, and it got a new home. So it had a happy ending. So somebody actually allowed this bull now to actually live its life without having its neck tied up the way it was from its birth until the present time. So that was a warm story on likes.com. That's also my Facebook page. And I'm trying to check on any news stories because the rest are just literally fluff. I actually stumbled upon this tonight accidentally because been having issues. I have a suspicion that people are actually stealing our internet because you got more and more people who have a lack of interest of actually paying for things on their own, or actually looking for a way to buy what they want. So they just basically take from us. So that being said, our internet has been, I've been knocked off my own internet at this time of night. It starts around 11 o'clock. Sometimes it starts earlier and goes on for hours, and sometimes it starts later in the evening and it goes on for hours that I can't even get on my own internet. So I end up shut off my router. For those who take try to take advantage of us paying for our internet and using ours. And we did complain. We have Verizon, and they actually did say that we were making like our bill was really high this month for our Verizon Fios and internet. And they said, well, you're making these long distance calls. And it was like, no, we're not. So not only have they been tapping in my suspicion into our internet, but they've actually tapped into access to our account, period. And it was some extreme amount of money. And I told my father, I said, because I live with my parents, listen, these charges that we've been placed on us are not from us. They are not from us at all. So somebody else is basically taken advantage of, like most of the deadbeats we have in our society nowadays, who basically feel that we should be. And my parents are retired. I give them money, but I'm not giving them money that is going to go for somebody else's entertainment. So anyway, it's been frustrating. It's been really annoying. People just assume they can harvest off of other people's work, and they should be able to not have to do anything for it. Just they can basically, I read some article, the guy was stealing food from somebody's house, people's houses. So people don't really feel they have a need to execute any type of responsibility. They feel like it's your responsibility to take care of them and yourself. So anyway, that's been a little bit of a flustering thing for me. So I can't use all my I can't get access to things the way I used to on my computer, or even with this Apple TV I have, because I have one for me, I have one for my father. We stream stuff on our main TV in our house, and sometimes I just don't have the bandwidth to do it because somebody else's or other people, and I know this can be done, are harvesting our bandwidth that they're not paying for. So it's really frustrating. So anyway, I got so upset tonight. Actually, I have this PlayStation 4, which I haven't used for a while, so it gave me a reason to use that because that's a little less demanding to watch streaming TV shows or movies. So that was fine for me. So anyway, so this brought this to my attention, though. This is why I what I'm trying to get to, actually, at this point. I didn't realize I wouldn't have known about this. This is something brand new, because it says it is, from PlayStation. They have their own cable network for Sony now. It's called the PlayStation Vue, V-U-E, in plans and pricing. Now, you don't have to have a PlayStation console to get this. This is completely an independent thing. But I'm trying to see what it works on. Because they also have their own streaming music center now. But they actually have their own cable network that you don't need to buy Comcast or Verizon. I looked at the pricing of the plans. And actually, I'm looking at it now. You can buy individually even the cable networks. You don't even have to buy the package deals for would be equivalent to Verizon or Fios. They have their own now for PlayStation, which you basically use your console. You just have to have a broadband internet to get it. So you're getting all your cable networks, your local TV stations right through your console or whatever. It's showing actually you can buy individually, though, if you want Showtime. I know I mentioned before Starz is doing it, but Showtime's like $11 a month. You don't need to buy a cable subscription to get it. You just buy that. If you have PlayStation Plus, it's $9 a month. So it's only like $2 difference. But yeah, they have different package deals. I will read those in a second. It's kind of interesting, though, where things are going. I heard Rush talking about this before. I was actually trying to look for other devices you can use this on, because I had it up. Devices. Okay, here we go. Oh, look. It says it works with the PlayStation cable network. You basically don't need to pay for a yearly subscription as far as I can see. You pay on a monthly basis, and you buy only what you need, not what you don't need. This is interesting. I didn't realize. It says starting viewing on new devices. Enjoy streaming on new devices with no additional charge. It works. Now, this is kind of interesting. It's crossing the platforms. The PlayStation Network's TV now works on. It's a cable network from Sony. Works on Amazon Fire TV, Amazon Fire TV Stick, Chromecast, obviously the PlayStation consoles, and get this, the iPhone and the iPad. So that's really interesting. I'm sure Apple's not too happy about that. It says PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3, like I mentioned, and the other ones I mentioned too. Yeah, actually, this is like beyond. Yeah, this whole thing's all new. But yeah, now you can get TV from Sony on even your iPad and your iPhone if you'd like to. Now, here's the pricing plans. You don't have to get these if you just want Showtime or something else. What was it when I mentioned Starz? You can buy those individually. The three plans are 50 channels plus is $50 a month. That's called Access. You can get the core bundle, which is $60 a month. It's on sale right now for $55. That's 60 channels plus. Now, let me read the first one again. The Access one says, start enjoying 50 channels plus great channels on live TV, movies, and sports. That's all included in your package for $50. So it is much cheaper than cable, and you're not tied into a yearly plan. The core is starting rooting for your local sports teams. Core has all your benefits of Access plus more local sports, more channels, and more shows for you to love. And then there's the Elite, which is $65, normally $70, and that is 85 channels plus. The Elite, though, says start getting more from your TV experience with a huge selection of shows from the best channels somewhere great is always on. Or something great is always on. Now, it gives you the rundown. It has on my list Chicago, Dallas, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, Philadelphia, and San Francisco Bay Area. Now, the Apple TV was supposed to do this, but I think Sony actually beat them to the punch. So it gives you the list of Access, Core, and Elite stations. This is only a few of them. There's actually much more, but to give you an idea, it's your local channels: CBS, Fox, NBC, Telemundo, AMC, Cartoon Network, Bravo, Fox, HGN-TV, HNL, IFC, ID, Logo, USA, Felicity, VH1, Classic, VH1, Travel Channel, MTV, FX, CNBC, CNN, Sci-Fi Channel, Spike, Logo, Fox News, Discovery Channel, Animal Planet. There's tons here. OWN, Oxygen, Pop, True TV, Cozy, Boomerang TV, you name it. It's actually got all the major networks, all the major cable networks, TBS. I'm trying to think what other people would be interested in. But these are like the major ones that people, because they kind of repeat themselves. I notice, okay, you got Nick Jr., Nickelodeon, and Nicktoons. Trying to see, because probably, even though I don't see it on here, I'm just wondering, because I know Disney is actually affiliated with at least National Geographic. Disney, I think, is tied in with Chiller Channel's actually on there, too. Probably Disney is more so because it's got all this Nick channels, which I'm surprised they don't have Disney, because I think they work very closely together anymore. Nick used to be, it probably still is. Nick is actually owned by MTV, but Disney is a different chain altogether. And I think bought that up is Apple. But yeah, you get those channels, and if you get the grandiose elite package for $70 a month, that does also include your pay-per-view channels as well, which would be I'm trying to look, because it's two of them at least. Epix is one. I'm trying to see plans, because it did say Epix in another one. Watch TV, brand new in a new way. Machina. It's not showing it now. Premium package. Okay, yeah. Epix Hits and Showtime together with Epix Hits. Enjoy Hollywood's biggest movies, music, spectaculars, comedies, special, original documentaries. Download from PlayStation Store. So yeah, you do get like Epix, and you get God, I just lost it. Let me see if I can find it again. But it's not a bad deal. I in some ways, I guess people are. It's going to actually, in some ways, it may probably cost you more money in the long run. I don't know. But these are for people who are bitching and complaining, like, hey, listen, we don't want to have to pay for channels we never even watch. So this is what ended up happening, is now people are, got what they wanted. And in some ways it's kind of good, because you can take, I did hear, like I said, Rush did talk about this for a long time. In some ways it's kind of nice. In other ways it's going to be probably not that great. I mean, it will get you away from the big monopolies of these cable companies. And the thing is, you're going to need broadband, though. So you are paying either way. Most people have broadband at this point that I wouldn't think of. There's some people who don't, but there's a lot that I know that do. Yeah, I'll have to look this up, because now for my own interest, basically the PlayStation is basically a media hub at this point because of that, because you're actually paying for TV through the PlayStation if you want to. So I'm going to see if Disney's on that list. So sorry, I'm like kind of oh, sorry about that, folks. What did I call this PlayStation? PlayStation. It is called PlayStation. View. That might be the only one it's not. It says Disney to add ABC, ESPN, and other channels to Sony's. There we go. Disney to add ABC's ESPN, and other channels to Sony's PlayStation View. So there you go. Yeah, they will be adding Disney, which would really, honestly, I hate to say it, it's going to kill. If that's true, that will just crush the Apple TV altogether. That's just that's a no-brainer. So yeah, they are going to add those onto the View. So eventually, give or take, the only difference is, playing the devil's advocate. Yeah, PlayStation View snags 18 Disney-owned channels / gear, it says. So they are adding Disney to the list of Sony's new cable network, basically. The View, it's called View, VUE. So yeah, that will definitely kill the cable companies probably, and also, without a doubt, it will also kill Apple, because Apple did not do this. So I have to give them. I like Sony, so hey, I got to give them credit for doing this stuff. Yeah, but if you think about it, right now I think we pay about $160 a month, but that includes our phone bill. So it's a matter of time until Sony actually kind of conquers that out. I wouldn't be surprised, because you can make basically you can set up your phone network through broadband as well. So and high speed internet. So it would be only a matter of time, but we get our landline and one pay-per-view station and our cable network for $160 a month, and 3 cable boxes. So the only downfall, it is cheaper technically with the PlayStation's View, but because you basically own your device, you're not paying that monthly fee, so that will actually save money. But you got to look at the other side, which I would be kind of curious about. I'll have to see if it's in here. Can you run, if you have if you had 3 consoles, could you run that one subscription on 3 3 things? That would 3. So yeah, then it would be definitely cheaper. If it's like, okay, be prescription per console, then I'm looking at it. I'm sorry. I'm seeing what it says about location errors and service availability, specific frequently asked questions, supported devices, bill and subscription information. Yeah, I'm trying to see, folks, because if I could, I should have looked this up. I didn't think about it at first. Yeah, bill and cycle, can I? Services available. So it would all depend, because theoretically, if you get all your cable channels through a console, I would say, yeah, I would go that way. But if you have to buy it per unit, then that would be probably 3 times the amount of money we're paying now. Okay, here, somebody actually, they do answer this. Can I set up a PlayStation View on multiple PlayStation consoles in the home? Oops. Okay, so I guess it is cheaper. Yes, a single PlayStation View account can simultaneously stream PlayStation View on up to one up to one PS4 console and one PS3 console in the same home at no additional charges. Note, at this time, you cannot stream on 2 PS4s or 2 PS3s at any given time. Additionally, you can only use PlayStation View Mobile on an iOS O device or PlayStation View on Fire TV devices for an addition. for an additional simultaneously stream. To set up PlayStation View on another console in your home location, simply download PlayStation View from the PlayStation Store and launch it. So it looks like it's kind of okay, but see, we have in our house, sorry, I had to make my nose itch. It looks like it only works on 2 units, but they have to be separate units. It says yes, a single PlayStation View account can simultaneously stream PlayStation View up to one PS4, one PS3. So there's good and bad about this, I would guess. I'm sure this would be something hopefully they fix in the future, but it looks like, is it a maximum of 2? I'd have to ask. I'll see if I can find. Can the PlayStation View, because I'm curious about this, connect up to 3 TVs. Same time. Okay, so I just basically put, can I do 3 at the same time? It might be too soon to actually get that answer. It says, while PlayStation View improves upon the less expensive experience of Sling TV and advocates some of the headaches associated with cable, it ultimately falls short in its overall implications. The plus side, no extra equipment or contract, unlimited cloud saves up. Basically, you can TiVo your shows. You can cloud saves up to 28 days available on old hardware and an iPad. The cons are, though, costs just as much as cable, requires a high speed and internet limited to selected U.S. cities. So we are one of them that actually has it in the U.S., in Pennsylvania. So there is some limitations, and then as far as you go, it can be as expensive as cable, so you get back to that higher cost. It says access package of $49 a month. This is I should actually put this on Tech Radar, so I'm going to tweet that and Facebook it if I can figure out how to do it. Well, at least I'll Facebook it. How's that? Because I don't think the tweet's going to work. But that's actually pretty interesting either way. Okay, I'm just trying to Facebook this, at least for now. If I lived with lived on my own, I'd probably say, hey, I would go with the PlayStation. It's buy high-speed internet, and I get the best of everything I need. But if I'm sharing it, which I am, then that's a different story. Hey, this is something that's went up. It's sidetracked. Doctor Who nominated for a National Television Award. Doctor Who has been nominated for the National Television Award, going up against Broadchurch, Casualties of Downton Abbey, and its Best Drama category. Doctor Who was nominated in the same category last year, so it's up for a nomination against some pretty heavy-weighted shows in England, which is kind of neat. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, I'm trying to look for my Twitter account. So, yeah, if you want to kind of see a little bit more, I'm actually posting something now. Let's see if it goes up. Alrighty, I just tweeted this on my Twitter account. Tweet. I'm going to go back to this PlayStation one because it really caught my attention. Somebody, a reviewer, actually put on Tech Radar, basically saying, okay, maybe cable wasn't so bad after all. So, yeah. Our verdict, while PlayStation View improves upon less expensive experiences on Sling, I already read that. There is some, bad things. But, yeah, on the Tech Radar, though, if you look at it, it depends what you're using it for. some people actually this might benefit them because basically the basic package gives you quite a lot of the main cable network stations, but you're not paying for cable. That's the nice thing. And it gives you extra stations on the core package and the elite. And this actually breaks it down much better than, much better than I actually read before. So, I mean, it's a first attempt. I don't think it will go away. I think they're actually making a pretty good move, give or take. This one from, it actually gives you, it says this was posted 19 days ago, the one on Tech Radar. So, I just liked it because it's actually got some pretty interesting stuff on Tech Radar. I did not know about this. I'm trying to hold out right now because I don't want to buy this station called Stars. I basically did want it at some point, maybe just for one show, though. It's kind of a waste of money, though. It was for Ash versus the Evil Dead. I'm just going to wait and eventually try to at least buy it when it comes out on Blu-ray or DVD, or just buy it online and just have it as a streaming show, because that's eventually going to end up happening. If they like it or not, they're going to end up doing that with Stars. So anyway, it was on iHorror. The one show I did want to see, Ash versus Evil Dead, they said, did you spot the Freddy Krueger glove in Ash's versus Evil Dead's final finale? So, I don't know. I guess it is Freddy Krueger's glove. It was like a little bit of an Easter egg, so to speak, I guess. I don't know what else to call it. Since most horror fans know by now that Sam Raimi and Wes Craven had a good deal of fun paying tribute to one another in their early films, which began when The Hills Have Eyes poster was seen in Evil Dead's fruit cellar. Subsequently, Craven featured a clip from Evil Dead in A Nightmare on Elm Street, which I did not know that. And the fun continued when Freddy Krueger's glove was glimpsed in the work shed in Evil Dead 2. Gotta love it. So that I did not watch it yet, so I can't really say, but I will keep my eyes open now that I know what to look for. I like to call them Easter eggs, though. So that was pretty cool. I've actually got 2 different listens. I forget where the last one came from, but it was on bloodydisgusting.com. Either they had 2 articles or as well. But this other one actually says Freddy's glove appeared in Ash vs. Evil Dead once again, but there's actually more pictures of his glove. So it's kind of cool. And so you might want to check that out. I don't know. I guess for my last story, I'm sorry, my nose is still freaking itching. BloodyDisgusting.com had this story also. Godzilla Resurgence plot details unveils major spoilers. So they got these composite sketches or everything. I guess they're trying to make more of, what made the Japanese Godzilla very popular for the last 50 or 60 years, I guess. Probably even longer than that at this point. But they're going to do a 2016 version, the actual Japanese version of a more sinister Godzilla. And they were trying to show how they've changed him, I guess, over the years. But it's going back to basically the man in the jumpsuit, the costume. So, yeah, you can. It's not much to read, but I'll just leave that for the people who are actually interested in reading this small article. There are supposed to be doing more that we actually didn't lose our ability to make Godzilla in the U.S. because obviously there's going to be, I think I might have read that a while back, a one with eventually it's going to lead to Godzilla fighting against against King Kong. So that should be pretty interesting. They're going to revamp that. They're going to lead. They're going to do a couple more American Godzillas. I honestly did not think it was that horrible when I got to see it again. Of what do you call it? The original time, or the first time, I should say, that the U.S. was given the rights to make a Godzilla. I mean, it had its quirkiness to it, but overall, the movie wasn't that horrible. You know, I was really pretty harsh on it the first time I had seen it. Anyway, I'm looking at this now. This would be actually a story I wanted to mention tonight if I did do a show, which I am. And I'm sure I'm going to probably throw a couple thorns on friend Ryan Cranston, because he's really into horror movies. I am also. I grew up with a lot of horror movies. There's quite a bit I have not seen. Honestly, Ryan is much younger than me, but he has seen a much more robust amount of horror movies, splatter movies, than I have. But one that was mentioned when I was talking to Ryan, either on the podcast or afterwards, was Maniac. And it was both, we were mentioning both the original one and the remake. And honestly, I was like, I remember being a kid and I was like way too young to go see that film. Honestly, I was much too young. I should have never been allowed to see that film, but somehow, me being a little kid, it was very manipulative. I convinced my parents to take me to go see this movie called Maniac. Well, honestly, I thought I remember the film, but honestly, I did not hardly remember a thing about the film. I think it came out in 86. I was born in 67. I think it came out in 86. No, 1980. So let me, because I am bad with math, so let me figure this out. 1980. Yeah, I should be able to do this in my head, but I can't. 1967. So, yeah, I was 13 years old. Yeah, that was definitely a movie probably beyond inappropriate for me to go see. So, quite honestly, about 90% of the film, if not more, I had my eyes covered. But I just had to see this film. Don't ask me why. So, I figured, you know what, I got to give this film a shot again. I haven't seen it in, over 30 years. So I rented it last night from Amazon. I'm like watching this film called Maniac, the original one, the 1981, when I was 13 years old. And I saw it in the movie theaters. And I just remembered, yeah, this was really disturbing. This movie was something else. It gave me nightmares, even though I didn't watch it because my eyes covered the whole entire time. And it was like, I couldn't even barely get through the movie. It was that bad. It was just horrendous. It's a horrible movie. The reason it was brought up, me and Ryan brought it up also, was because this was another movie that we've been having this discussion back and forth through texting on Facebook that was done by Tom Savini. And Tom Savini. I should know. I'm Italian. He's Italian, but I can't say his name right. Isn't it amazing? Anyway, I've noticed this. I even had this discussion because Tom Savini actually was in this movie of these shorts. He actually was responsible for doing the makeup and stuff in one of these things. Well, the problem with Tom Savini, the guy's great. He's not stupid. He's a very intelligent man. Is that I had this discussion even online with Ryan tonight on Facebook through texting that, watching his stuff, and I mean, you're talking a movie when I was 13 years old, but it just kind of proves this point, watching it again at least, and actually watching it, not covering my eyes. This movie of Maniac is just another example of this. It's like seeing that once, seen that like a million times. So Savini he's a great guy. He knows how to do makeup and stuff, but he does not step out of the box. There's no other way to put it. The man does not step out of the box. His whole life, has been made on tearing flesh apart. I mean, I understand the man had to suffer through and experienced the Vietnam War. And that's where a lot of his outlook is coming from. But realistically, I even said to Ryan tonight, I said, in this film, not with Maniac, but this film, he did the short he did in this film was called Theater Bizarre. His short was actually called Wet Dreams. And it was like, no offense to Ryan, because Ryan, I think I put on a higher pedestal than some of these crappy movies. Because he actually did something that, Ryan thought outside the box. And that's what I like. There's no other way else to put it. But I had this discussion with Ryan tonight. I said, listen, this movie of Maniac is just typical. I mean, I've seen this a million times. And even back in 1980, this was overdone with, okay, let's figure out how we can tear a human body apart, like literally mutilate it. It's like, I don't need to see that. And the acting was horrible. It had this original movie, Maniac, had this sound effect in the background of this guy breathing heavy. And it was just put in throughout the film. It was a big, dopey-looking guy. I heard he's a good actor, so I don't want to criticize him too much. But it was just, the movie was horrible. And for some reason, they decided to make it. It's horrible, but it's considered a classic at the same time. I don't know how. So they remade this film with Elijah Woods. The remake, honestly, was 100 times better. It didn't get rated that well, but it was actually much, much better. It didn't look like, because Trauma, it looked like a Trauma film. Now, Trauma films are designed to look bad. And the whole purpose is they have fun with their movies. Maniac, on the other hand, was being taken seriously as a horror movie. And the only thing horror in that movie was it was just a plain horrible movie. It was not good, in my opinion, at all. It was just a piece of garbage. The remake was much better. Now, don't get me wrong, because I've seen a lot of stuff made by Tom Savini, and it's not all that it's not all total crap. But for this instance, Maniac was just a piece of garbage. I'm sorry. Nothing against Tom Savini. I've seen him do much better stuff. He's even actually a really good actor. But hey, just stating an opinion. I'm probably going to piss off a couple people if they actually listen to me. But and I even tried to explain to Ryan tonight on a different note that, speaking about Tom Savini just for a split second, you don't need to, because I don't bother look for the most part anyway. You don't need to show explicit violence of ripping people apart. There is no need for that. There's certain areas that, you can show violence, and trust me, I'm the biggest hypocrite of that. Simply because I love gory movies, but sometimes the gore is just way over the top. And if they're showing gore, I don't need to see it with a real person. This was something that was explained when I watched a lot of the extras, and this is actually true. I'm going to show you if I can kind of adjust my screen. If you want to see gore, I'd rather see it being done by a monster. Like, what are you talking about, Walter? Well, here's what I'm trying to say. What makes Friday the 13th so people want to come back? Because the reason people want to come back is because the gore being done is done by a fictional monster-like character. Jason Voorhees, come on, let's face it. It started out just being a person who was invincible, who looked hideous, and then they changed him as the movies progressed into basically a zombie monster. But he's no different than Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, minus that he tears people apart. And I'm trying to think what else. Creature from the Black Lagoon, Dracula. Did I say Dracula? The Mummy, The Invisible Man. which is kind of like pushing it, but you kind of probably hopefully get my drift. A monster killing somebody or destroying them, it's not as harsh, it seems, as just having fleshy and zombies, or a human being who, like in Maniac, who just for no reason at all feels like the need to rip somebody apart. That to me is just like unnecessary violence. And to me, I think the reason that bothers me, though, is because then that just encourages people like, okay, because we have such a simple-minded society that we live in, that people think that, okay, this must be acceptable because I see this on screen. And you probably think, well, people aren't that stupid. Well, you know what? No offense. A lot of people, they actually are. So you need to make it clear and show that people don't rip people apart. Monsters rip people apart. You need to make that clear because people are that gullible. So that's my main issue of a lot of stuff. And I kind of explained to Ryan, if you want to make something that is going to, not only just a suspension of disbelief, that's just going to really, I'm trying to think, frighten people, or, really just get under your skin. And it's going to be something that's going to be more memorable than just having somebody tear somebody apart physically, is to leave more up to the person's imagination. And I try to tell Ryan this by saying, like, his movie, he actually did do that. He actually, he used what he could do within his means to make things look, make it look violent. And that actually worked very well. It wasn't over gory. It was violent enough to prove a point. And secondly, there was parts in his film that left everything up to your own imagination. And when you leave other people in the driver's seat to, like, okay, we're not going to show you a violent scene. We're going to leave that up to you to do in your own mind. Then bottom line, that's going to actually stay in, linger in your mind much longer, and it's going to scare the crap out of you much more than showing somebody like ripping limbs and the head off of somebody. I mean, it's just, to me, that's nonsense. It's unnecessary violence. I mean, yeah, it is a dying art with, basically latex and rubber. But at the same time, it's unnecessary violence. So that's where I stand with that. I could go off on that even further, but I've already lost, probably without a doubt, most of the people by trying to explain myself. But anyway, that being said, because now I'm just dragging out the show. Everyone, I hope you listen to me. I hope you enjoy my show. I am signing off because it is 3 o'clock in the morning at this point. I am going to see the Sherlock movie tomorrow, so I want to get this wrapped up now, get this out before the morning hours so I can get some sleep. So, everyone, thanks a lot if you do listen to me on the iWalter show, and continue to listen and just try to get other followers for me. Thanks a lot. And have a good morning on this Tuesday. Thanks. And right now I am promising I am signing off for now.